Good afternoon, Shed fans. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. This video is going to show you how I do wire up the points and how I'm fitting them and stuff like that. I've done quite a bit since my last video, so I can show you all that as well, what I've been doing. So hopefully I'll be able to get something running today, get it wired up and get it running actually on this video. But first run through stuff. So what I've been doing is so you get your Yada track, your Yada code 75 or whatever track you're going to use. Instead of putting fish plates on and connecting them all together with fish plates, because it's kind of it could create dead spots on your track. After a few years of running, as you train going over, I'm wondering if they can open fish plates up and make loose connections. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting just off of one end, just take two sleepers off, and then solder your wires directly to the bottom of your rails, so you can't see them. You can't see the wires on your rails at all. And then just slide your sleepers back over, like so. So then when you look at it, that's all you're going to see. Once you've fitted it, and once you've fitted your track and you've ballasted it and everything, you're not going to see any wires at all. So what I'll do is I'll put my track back on my baseboard, and we'll solder wires on and get this yard fitted. The other thing I've done as well, I'll show you what I've got done so far. So from my last video, I've got quite a bit done. I've got all that cork laid. I've laid another point here. So these are my points that I've laid with the wiring tube. So you pull wire backward and forward to change your point. But I've also, so to wire your frog up that's under your point. So like with this Y point here, you've got your frog here, and that does your polarity. So hang on a second. So with this Y point, well, with all your points, you've got this part of your point here is called an electro frog. So it's insulated. Each rail, the rails are insulated from each other, and then you've got like a right thin piece of wire that's fastened to your rails, like that. You can see it here. This solid wire. So when your loco, when your train wants to come across your point, and you change your point side to side, for your loco to run through your point, and when it gets to your frog here at the end, that will be dead. There'll be no power there, so it will not transfer across. So what you've got to do, so what they do is they put this thin wire in that's connected to both sides of both rails. So when you flick your point, you have a switch wired up. You have a switch wired up to your frog, so that it changes with polarity of your frog. When you change your point left and right, your polarity will change. I'll solder wires on, and I'll show you what I mean. So I've fastened that double slip's fastened down now, and we've got the wiring tube. And what I've done, as you can see there, I've just filed the paint off some rails, off your track pins. File the top of the paint off, and you just tap it down either side of your tube and solder it to it, so that when you change your point, your piano wire runs through your brass tube and change your point underneath, so you're not reaching over your baseboard to change your points. It's just a cheap way of doing it, instead of tortoise point motors or point motors in general. It starts getting very expensive when you start messing about with point motors. So I'll solder this point up, and we'll fit this point now. So you do your frog wire in green. I'm presuming, because frogs are green, obviously. But we'll solder these up. We've got some wire strippers. I'm using burglar alarm cable, household burglar alarm cable. They give you a lot too much on that solid wire, so that you can wire it up any way you want, really. But I'm just wiring them up this way that I'm doing it, because I've been shown this way, and I do it this way. So you want your flux, and you want your solder. You want your soldering iron. Just clean that tip off a bit. So you dip your wire in your solder, and then you dip your wire in your flux, solder your soldering iron, put solder on your iron, on the tip on your iron. So you always use your flux. Not too much solder on that. Right, so that's my green wire on Fox Frog. And I've noticed when you tip your point up, you can see holes in your sleepers from underneath. So we'll drill through those. They can before the drill through them for the panel pins, for your track pins to hold it down into the middle. Right, so I want some red and black wires now. Right, so I've got red and black wire. Just dip them in flux. Friggin' solder iron. Need a new tip for my solder iron. This one's chuffing rubbish. Right, so I've realised it's this gap here in the sleeper gap that's just here. You can see all 4 rails there. So I think that is where I'm going to solder my rails to. And the wires to bottom them rails. That's a bit. That iron's too big, really. That tip on that 40 watt iron's too big. But the 25 watt iron might not be strong enough. Right, so I've soldered that. So that's my 3rd wire onto my point. That red wire. So I can do the black wire. So I need to put some flux on the bottom of his rail. I need to flux his solder iron. And we flux his wire. And then put it in the gap. So that's the 3 wires on. and you can't see the wires from the top. So when you switch your point from one side to the other, you have a single pole. This is important, this bit. A single pole, single throw switch. So it's a 3-stage switch. So it's off in the middle, then it's on at the top and on at the bottom. So when so these 3 cables, your green goes to the middle, and then your black and your red go to either side. So that when you switch your point, when you switch your point with a toggle switch, with a single pole, single throw switch, it throws a point, the point blades, and it does the polarity of your frog at the same time. So then you haven't got to flick a switch and mess about with another switch. So that's why I use single pole, single throw switch. So on these wire end tubes, the bit of wire sticking out at the end, you just bend that across and drill the bottom of the toggle switch and shove that through the bottom of the toggle switch, so that when you pull your switch, it changes the point and changes your throw of, and changes your direction of your point and changes the polarity of your frog at the same time. So then you end up with so that does two jobs in one. So I'm going to locate this point now. I'm going to fit it down, put some wiring tube on, and then I can wire up the I can put this other 2 yard down. So 2 yard of track down that I want to put down. So if you've watched my other videos, you can see that I've got a centre line. I've got a centre line through the middle of my baseboard, and that lines up with this line here, but it's a bit faint, this line. So I'll just broaden that out. So you can follow this centre line all the way through, over my cork, over the and then through the station, through the middle of the platform, and all the way along down through the layout. So now I need to drill my wires, drill my holes in the baseboard for my wires. I'm going to line that up on there and mark that there and there. Then turn my point over, line that one up and those 2 up. So we've got a 2.5mm drill bit. Send that one through there. So you just send your wire through your baseboard. There you go, that's your point down. So it just wants altering so it's in the middle. And your point still changes. So now we just need a wiring tube. So I've got all this tube here, which is I can't remember what's that. Oh, I can tell. Not that one. It's all 2mm by 0.45mm. So it's quite a small. Hang on, I'll show you the label. That's a brass tube there. But then I found this. But then I found this brass tube, which is a lot smaller. 1.2mm outside diameter by 1mm internal diameter. So that leaves you wall thickness of 0.2mm wall thickness in brass. So that's like majorly small. But it bends quite flexible. But and when you look at your tube size, you can't really tell on that picture. So I've got a load of piano wire. So I've got a load of piano wire now. That all just goes straight down through. So all you've got to do now is slide that across, slide that underneath that first bit of the track there to the edge of that line, and then I've got where it finishes there at the end of the baseboard. I'll just cut that off. So what I'll do, I can see my pliers. Where's them gone? So all I have to do is just go a little bit past the end of my pliers. This piano wire is steel. It's steel wire. Just bend that up at the right angle. And then just thread that underneath there. Stand it up. Then you just go through the middle of the drawbar. Well, your drawbars, your bar that holds your two rails together. I just want to cut that off to edge at baseboard, so I want to cut that much off. Just cut it with snips. The wall's that thin, you can just cut it with snips. But then what you need to do is just open this out. Just open the end out again. Because it flattens it. Because it flattens the tube when you cut it with snips instead of cutting it with a saw. You just need to right. So now I've managed to do that. Just shoving brass tube back up to my point. Right, so that's back up to a point there. And cut this wire off. So give me a couple inches, about 1.5 inches off. Oh, that's stiff. Cut 1 inch off of that so I can change. So I've got enough to put through my switch. And I want some panel pins, but some track pins. That one in there. That one in there. Make sure that's bang in the middle on your centre line on your baseboard. Make sure up front's bang in the middle. And that one's bang in the middle. And then get your little toffee hammer. And just tap them in. Right, and then, so now you can see that works. Want me needle drill again, and just drill that this last rail. And then just get me square. I mean, you're not supposed to use a square for this job, but I'm doing it. Just tap that down enough just to hold your rails and sleepers in place. Right, so that's 1 point down. So you can see me brass tubes moving all over the place. So we want to get your nail tack, your track pin. And as you can see, paint on it there, on the head. Just rub paint off. Because you can't solder to paint. Solder doesn't stick to paint, but it does stick to clean metal. So we want to draw that down. So then just run that panel pin, your track pin down to your top of your brass tube, and do the same again with another one. So the longer your tube, or further away your point is, you want to be putting more tacks in to hold it in place. So that's working a lot better now, that. So I'll put another 4 in position, 2 in the middle, then 2 at end. Right, so that's all those in place now. So you can see those two 2, 4 and then 6 just there. And you can see this, you can see the height difference in the cork. This is 8th cork, your main line's 8th thickness, and your shunting yards are always 16th thickness. So this smaller, thinner tube is thinner overall diameter than the 16th cork. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to solder them. So the last job for this brass is just to solder the nails. Solder the nails to it. So you just want just a blob of flux on each. If it all points what main line cork was, all the cork was 8th thickness, then you'd be able to just use the thicker, the 2mm diameter rod rather than the 1.2. So just load of solder and up with a bit of solder. And that just secures your brass rod so that when you're ballasting and everything, you can just go straight over the top. And then you can test it and it's all working fine. And actually the thin wall brass solders a lot easier than the thick wall brass. So that's a point laid with the wire with the wires fixed to the point, and then the control sorted. Right, so my next job now is going to be to lay, is to finish, to link my wire point to my double slip. So I turn the phone round here. Right, we've got this little piece of track here, and we just need to tease it round a little bit. So if you noticed on this track, you've got little cutouts there, look, in every 4 sleeper. But I don't want it cut every 4 sleepers, I want it cut every 2 sleepers, because that'll allow you to bend the track more. So we'll go those 2. Just take your scalpel knife and you just cut that bridge out there in your track. And then also we need to solder those jumpers onto the bottom. There's cables onto the bottom of it, so we pull that off. So I've cut 2 sleepers off the end, these 2. And what we're going to do is solder as red and black on. So it's same thing again. Right, so I've soldered his wires. You can't see them. You can see them now, but you'll not be able to see when it's on baseboard. So then we just solder with sliders sleepers back on. And then just looks just normal. So we need to bend this. Now that's been bent round there. Need to put a nice gentle curve on this stretch here. So what we need to do is drill his holes for his cables. One about there, one about there. And just drop your back wire through. Your red wire through. Now as that goes down, you can't see no wires. Right, so you need to bunch these down a little bit. Right. We're going to drill those. Drill these couple of sleepers here. That one. And that one. All my videos, I don't edit them or anything. This is how it works. This is how I do it. Not edited or anything. Nothing's missed out. This is lifetime as it takes me to do it. So really, hopefully it should only take you about the same sort of time. So these rails are just slightly too long. I'll get my trusty snips. Just cut a tiny amount off each. They're very good, strong, sharp snips. They're snap-on snips. So I've got that point, this piece of tracking here, I'm not overly happy with it. Don't quite look right, but stuff runs through it. Stuff runs through, so I'm hoping that'll be alright. So next job, there'll be this last 2 yard of track here for me. That 2 yard of track to go in there. So what I'll do again is solder my wires to the bottom of the rails. This one's red, that one's black. So there again, I've soldered it. Wires to the bottom of the rails. When you look at it from the top, you can't see them. So they need to go into there. So I want to drill a couple holes for my wires. Right, so I just want to drill that second sleeper. Make sure your rails are in line. Drill fourth sleeper. Right, so to get this yard straight, once I get my meter ruler, Does everybody know how long a yard is? In feet, in millimetres. So you know that my meter ruler is longer than a yard. So every so often now we can just knock the panel pins in, and you only got a straight yard of track. And so you know that's straight because that's my measurement from me all the way up at end at layout where that plug is, all the way at the very end. That's the same width, same measurement from that yard up there, so you know that's all dead straight. So we'll lay that on. So every 10 centimetres ish, I'm just going to put a panel track pin in. They only hold it while you get your ballast down and get your glue in and everything. Get all your watered down PVA glue, stuck your ballast down and all that. This is code 75 track, fine scale wooden sleeper track, because we know that railway lines, preserved railway lines now still use wooden sleeper track for some of it. Bit of a mix and match really, so I could get some concrete sleeper track actually, and do like a bit of a thing for that. I can replace some track with some concrete sleeper track, just for a bit of variation I suppose. So when you're laying straight yards of track, that's how easy it is. That's that yard down. So what I need to do now is solder my wires onto my next yard. And I can put that yard of track down. I've soldered my wires onto the bottom of my rails. You can't see them, but they are there. So we're just gonna get these sleepers down in position, and then we need to drag them. We need to drag them through. Need to just drag this rail back to close that gap up at end. When you curve sleepers, should I say, it makes the inside rail on your curve longer. So you just need to drag it back a bit. if you can. Not sure if it'll let me yet. Right, so what is track setters? You can buy. Not sure which this one is, but it's a track setter, a 60-inch track setter. So track is, so your curve, to do a complete curve, it's going to be 60 inches. So what you do is you put you lay it between your rails like so. You can drill your centre. Drill your centre sleeper in the slot. And then smash that in with your basher. Do the same with this one. And then oh, you pig. And same with this last one. Right, so now I can just tap them in. Right, so that should give you a nice steady curve. Then we just need to so we'll try and see if this will pull down this rail now. Yep, that pulls down lovely. So if we hold that rail now and just pull these sleepers straight. So move this camera back to here. So that gives us the storage. That should give us the storage area. What does that look like? That doesn't look too bad, that actually. I'm quite pleased with that. Just works out my rulers, the exact width. You can actually go onto the interweb and you can find there's a company out there that does all your sizes, and you get all your sizing, so IT platform, the width of your track apart from each other in your track width apart in your shunting areas and all sorts. So I suggest you do that instead of just copying what I'm doing. So I'm going to I think I'm going to call it a day with this video now. It's about an hour long. About an hour long already, so I think I'll call it a day, and then we can and then I'll do my running video, my first running video next. So I need 3 buffer stops now. One for each of these lines, so that you can see, so that you think you so your train stop at the end, your freight workings. So this is it. This is that run so far. We've got main lines, this one. Main line's this here. So we've got that wide point. Hang on a minute. Right, so you can see main line off this wide point. That left hand branch is going to go to the left hand side of the station. Right hand side over that bit of track into a bit of storage area. So we've got, this is a full yard of track. Now let's change that point over. Stop. Oh, that's just off the end. Right, so that's a full yard from that edge of that point to the edge of the layout. So then we've got another 2 yards, another 2 full yards for storage. And then this double slip, that's just less than a yard. This piece is just less than a yard. But you can run, so you can run coaches through there. So they could be storage. Then leave room for a station pilot to sit there. And then main line runs down and across that Y and out down to the bottom and then round. So on the next video I'll be doing that as a I'll be wiring it up now on the next video and getting this track wired and tested and working. So I'll see you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. You shed fans. Hope track needs right good clean. But like I was saying earlier, so now you look at all these rail ends, no fish plates, and you can't see no wires either. which is the best idea, I think. You want realism when you're building your model railway. That's why I've done it the way I've done it. I don't like fish plates. So right, well, thanks for watching. If you want to like and subscribe and notification bell and all that, you know the score. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. See ya.